What's up, Airsoft Atlanta TV? Today we're going to be taking a look at MP7s. In my left hand I have the KWA version, and in my right hand I have the Elite Force VFC version. First we're going to be taking a closer look at the KWA version because it is the older one and has been around for a lot longer than the VFC version. So, when we look at the features of the KWA version, we have the foldable forward grip, and with the stock, we have the open and the closed position. We also do have flip-up sights, and all of the controls are ambidextrous. We have the H&K magazine release, paddle release on either side, as well as the selector that has 3 different positions: safe, semi, and full auto, as well as the bolt catch and release, which is going to be operated right in front of the trigger, right above the trigger, and it's really easy, accessible with your fingers without having to change your firing position, which is really, really cool for the functionality of this weapon. Moving on to the VFC version, this one is going to be 1-to-1 scale of the actual MP7 firearm, where the KWA one was sized down just a little bit. So with a side-by-side comparison, you can actually see the differences in the size are actually pretty significant. Another thing to note about the VFC version is that this is going to be the quote-unquote Navy version, so it's not going to have the foldable forward grip. It's going to have a rail section right there, so you can put on your aftermarket forward grips or angled grips and everything, what have you. Another thing to note about the functionality is the stock is going to have 3 positions versus the KWA's 2 positions. So it's going to have closed, a half open, and then a full open, which is just about an extra inch of travel, which will, and it actually does make a difference when you're shouldering the weapon. Another thing to note is that the sights are flip up as well, but they're going to be like the real steel, and they're going to be much bigger than the slimmer version of the KWA version. As far as the other functionalities are concerned, both weapons are going to operate primarily the same, with some of the difference being just actually the size and placement of some of the features, because the grip is going to be a little bit bigger, so you might have to work your hand a little bit differently when operating this weapon versus the KWA. Both hop-ups are adjusted right over the barrel. The Elite Force version, VFC, is going to have the removable Allen key tool, which is already in there. It's held in by some O-rings, and so you would just adjust that. It's about a 5mm hex key if you didn't have that piece in there. Whereas the KWA version actually has a tool that comes in that you have to stick in there, and I think it's a 6mm and hex key. Another thing to note is the size and functionality of the magazines. These are both gas blowbacks, so the valves are going to be on the bottom like a traditional gas blowback magazine. So you would load the gas the same way now, but loading BBs is going to be different between the two. The KWA, since it's the old dog here, we're going to go ahead and go onto it. Pull down the follower and it'll lock into place, and then you'll load the BBs through the feed lips, and once the BBs are in, release the follower to add pressure to those BBs. Whereas the Elite Force version, you pull down the follower and it's not going to have any locking mechanism, but a really cool feature of this is that the magazine well right here is big enough to load it with a speed loader through this portion, so you don't have to go through the feed lips, making loading this weapon actually a lot easier than it would be with the KWA because of those NS2 feeding lips and stuff like that. It's not going to be really easy to get a speed loader to load those. Now that we've gone over the differences and the similarities in the features, let's look at the performance of these weapons on the range. If you would like more information on the MP7s, KWA, and the Elite Force, as well as the power to purchase them, please visit www.airsoftatlanta.com.